Okay, in this video we're going to talk about the ambiguous case of the law of signs. Now the word ambiguous just means unclear or open to more than one interpretation. And the ambiguous case in the law of signs is a situation where you have enough information about a triangle to solve it using the law of signs, except you can come up with two solutions, and that's what's called the ambiguous case. So the ambiguous case comes up anytime you've got a triangle that falls under what's called the SSA category, which you may remember from our study of geometry. In other words, if I have two sides and a non-included angle, that's called the SSA situation. And for example, in this triangle right here, I can see I've got, if I know the length of this side here, A, and I know the length of this side here, C, and I have the value of this angle, well, that's a side-side angle situation. So this is a potential ambiguous case. So if I have a situation like this where I've got an SSA type of triangle, then the reason that this could potentially at least give me two possible solutions is because notice, if I know the value of this angle here and the length of this side here, C, and if the side length A is this long, well, notice that side might end up being right here, or that side might end up being right here. In other words, both of these, side A, they could give me two different triangles. In other words, I might have a triangle ABC1, where this angle right here in red, that ends up being my angle B. Or I could get this other triangle here, where my angle B is this angle here in green, ABC2. And notice that both of these two triangles, ABC1 and ABC2, they both have the same measure for angle A, the same measure for side C, and the same length for side A, but they're two different triangles. That's why this is called the ambiguous case. All right, so if you have an SSA situation, you might have an ambiguous case. Here's how you tell for sure. You got to have the following four conditions in order for it to be an ambiguous case triangle. So first condition, if the only information that you have about the triangle is the angle A and sides A and C, that is, it's an SSA triangle. All right, so that's the first thing. Second thing, angle A must be an acute angle. That is, it has to be less than 90 degrees. All right, so that's the second thing. Third thing, side A would have to be shorter than side C. And you can see in the picture up here, my side A is shorter than side C. And finally, the last thing that you'd have to have is side A has to be longer than the altitude. And when I say longer than the altitude, I'm talking about the altitude from this vertex here. In my picture, it's vertex B. If I were to draw in this altitude here, my altitude here, this dotted line here, notice that side A, this side A right here, it's longer than my altitude. All right? And so that's the fourth condition that has to be true in order for me to know that I'm going to have an ambiguous case and therefore two solutions. All right, so if I know that I have an ambiguous case triangle, here's how you solve it. Number one, you set up the problem and you solve for one of the missing angles, say angle B, using the law of signs. Number two, you find the second possible solution, that is the second possible solution for the angle, for this angle. And the way you do that is you say, well, solution 2 is 180 degrees minus solution 1. And I'm calling solution 1 is just this angle that I found. That's this angle that I found here in part 1. Okay, so now I have two possible values for this same angle. Step number 3, determine the value of the final angle, that is your third angle. determine the value of your third angle, and you just do this by adding angles A and B and subtracting from 180. Step number 4. For each of your two solutions, you find the value of the third side. Typically, you're going to do that using the law of sines. And then finally, step number 5, you write down the value of all sides and angles for both of your solutions. And if you do these 5 steps, then what you'll come up with is 2 solutions, that is 2 different triangles that both fit your original given information. Now we're going to take a look at an example of that, and we'll see what it's like to go through these 5 steps.